There are several big cities in the United States that are well known even outside of the United States, culturally and economically, such as New York City. But today we're talking about ones that aren't really well known, even inside of the US, and maybe not even inside their respective state. So let's start with our first city, being McAllen and Brownsville in Texas. Now, there are several people who have heard of both of these cities, especially because of South Padre Island, which is a major beach destination on the Gulf of Mexico. But really, besides that, it's not really a well-known area, except for appearing on weather stations because it's the only city of decent size south of San Antonio. For some reason, the US Census counts these as two separate metro areas. It doesn't even put them in a combined statistical area, even though they have urban sprawl shared between them. For the purposes of this video, I'll just count it as one though. Neither of the cities have an impressive skyline. This is of a McAllen, just a strode with the Chase Bank skyscraper in the distance. Combined, they have a population of 1.4 million, which is very big, even for Texas standards. This makes it the fifth most populous metro area in the state, but behind the behemoths of Austin, San Antonio, Houston, and Dallas, even ahead of El Paso. The area is located about 3.5 hours south of San Antonio. So next up, we're staying in the south but heading east to the state of North Carolina, where you find Tri-Cities of Lenoir, Morganton, and Hickory, with Hickory being the largest. Somewhat unsurprisingly, none of the cities have a good skyline. This one is just the downtown of Hickory, with the Wells Fargo being the tallest building, and it's not even that tall. Combined, the area has a population of 370,000, which is bigger than much more well-known cities like Green Bay or Lincoln. The area is only located about an hour northwest of Charlotte, and some of the suburbs for Hickory can also be considered suburbs for Charlotte. So next up, we're moving to Evansville, Indiana. Unlike the last two, Evansville actually has a decent skyline with several tall buildings. With only 10,000 less people than Hickory, it has 360,000 people. However, nearby Owensboro is only 10 miles upriver, and itself has a population of 120,000. If you do simple math, that adds up to 480,000, but it's really up to you if you count these as one city. Anyways, the area is located about 2 hours west of Louisville, and yes, up there is a town named French Lick. I do not know why it's named French Lick. That's just weird. Anyways, we're moving to Tennessee now. Also a little bit of Virginia, but mostly Tennessee, where we find another Tri-City, Kingsport, Johnson City, and Bristol, with Johnson City being the biggest. Like the other Tri-Cities, none of the cities have particularly impressive skylines, with this one being just the downtown of Johnson City. The most impressive part about this skyline is the mountain in the distance. Now this area is actually quite a bit larger than the last two metros, with 520,000. However, I did put it lower on the list because of the Bristol Motor Speedway, which quite a lot of people know. But outside of NASCAR, it's not really a well-known place. The area is located an hour and a half northeast of Knoxville. We're staying in the south again and heading to Popeye's Land, where we find Lafayette. Now, Lafayette has a decent skyline, not particularly impressive, but still good for a city that most people don't know about. Now, the population for this one even surprised me, 550,000. The area is located about 2 hours west of New Orleans, maybe 45 minutes west of Baton Rouge. Now it's time to say goodbye to the south because we're heading west for our last city. That being, yep, another Tri-Cities, Kennewick, Pasco, and Richland. You, the viewer, are probably thinking at this point, basically there's just two categories of cities on this list. Cities that are in the south, and cities where there's just three different cities that all have combined to make a metro area. Or both. And you're definitely right about that. These are just trends among cities that most people don't know about. There's several of them that aren't that big. People tend to not care about them unless one of them is actually a pretty big city by itself, such as Dallas, Fort Worth. But most people won't care about a city, let's say Johnson City, since it's only 70,000 and surrounded by other cities that are barely even 50,000. We're going back to the Tri-Cities. These are actually known as the Tri-Cities, even officially. Like the other Tri-Cities, there is no impressive skyline, instead this bridge being the highlight of the area. And this one is the smallest one on the list, and it's also last, with only a population of 300,000, which is still pretty good for a city that most people don't really know about. The area is located 3.5 hours southeast of Seattle. Welcome to the end of the video. If you haven't clicked subscribe, you should definitely do that, because that's always a good thing. Every YouTuber will tell you that, including me. You should definitely watch this video. I think it's pretty cool. You can maybe disagree with that, but you should still watch it. Do it now, please.